and Community Resources Advisory Commission. You stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Commissioner Horowitz.
Here.
Commissioner Ellman.
Here.
Commissioner Maroney.
Here.
You have a quorum.
All right, Lisa, announcements?
Can we queue up the upcoming city events presentation? Good evening, Commissioners. We will begin with going over the permitted special events in the month of February. We do have the AAU Southern Grand Prix Series, a volleyball tournament on February 2nd and the 22nd through the 23rd. We have Hope Chapel's Winter Challenge on February 8th and the SoCal Beach Foundation Volleyball Tournament on February 15th. Next slide. Our city-hosted excursion in the month of February is the Mission San Juan Capistrano and Time for Lunch and Shopping in Downtown. And this is on February 21st. At the time of us creating this presentation, there were 4 spaces left, and there still is, actually. And so if you're interested in attending that excursion, you can go to hermosabeach.gov/recreation. Next slide. And this slide here is our upcoming theater performances, and this is both the community theater and second story theater calendar. For more information on each of these productions, you can go to hermosabeach.gov/theater, and ticket information will be available as well on a separate flyer we have there on that site. And that concludes the upcoming city events presentation.
Thank you. And Lisa, back to you, presentations. I think we know who we have, but
Yes.
go ahead.
We have President Rick Koenig of the Kiwanis Club to present the Kiwanis Tree Lot post-event presentation, and this is a requirement per their use agreement for the Community Center East Lawn.
Well, welcome everybody. Nice to be here. Nice to see you all. 38 years we've been doing our Christmas tree lot up on the lawn up there. And I've got to say, I've been a member 25 years, and this has been one of the toughest ones for us. And we really can't figure out exactly why. We had over 140 trees left. That's never happened, ever. And that works out to about 15 grand for us. And I think you guys know, you probably read the letter that I wrote to Nick and CC'd you guys. You know, we support 55 charities and give out over 40 scholarships. So I came up here to whine and cry a little bit, okay? A couple days before Christmas, I checked out 11 other lots around the South Bay area, other adjoining cities. They all were sitting heavy. So it's anybody's guess what really happened. We're thinking that probably because Thanksgiving was a week later, kind of in the month than it usually is. That's a week less sales. I know some of these phony trees are getting pretty realistic looking. We really don't know, but we're going to have to adjust. And I think that's one of the reasons that. Other than that, everything went great. You know, we would have loved to have a key to the bathroom, but that's probably a conversation for another time. Other than that, everything went great. We had, generational sales. People the grown men are there with their grandkids that said, my granddad brought me here. And Rob, of course, being Santa Claus in the sleigh, and it was just a good feel. It was just a warm and fuzzy the whole way around. So we're going to be looking at doing it again this year. I think there'd be a riot if we didn't, but hopefully our sales will be a little better and we can adjust accordingly so that we can get the kind of profits that we really need. Any questions?
One question. Key to the bathroom?
Yeah, in years past, they locked the doors, the east-facing doors, and in years past we were able to get a key, to be used by us, our staff, or, supervised if there's somebody on the lot that has an emergency. And for some reason, this last year and the year before, we were refused a key.
So you're saying you have to walk around to the front of the building or around the other side?
Well, actually, because of a few ambulatory issues for some of our patrons, we rented a porta potty, which, you know, isn't exactly the best curb appeal, so to speak, and costs money.
Is there an update on, is that something that we can work on?
We discussed this with the Kiwanis Tree Lot event producers. We can't loan out the key to the south wing. That's the key for the entire community center and several other facilities in the city. We close actually the south wing down when ARC is not using that space for safety purposes. So we do lock it and direct everyone to access the restrooms on the north side of the community, either coming through the entrance underneath the theater marquee or through the offices.
Okay.
So is that ARC only has that wing now? That's pretty much it?
That's the only user group in the south wing now.
I guess since Project Touch closed down and a few others, wow, time goes by so quick. Any other questions?
No, thank you so much for everything that you guys do. We're lucky that that is the entrance to Hermosa Beach, that we're able to have the tree lot there. It does add a lot more to the Christmas festivities. I know this was the first year that we didn't have a Christmas tree. And you're right, it was Thanksgiving. Our house was under construction, but it was a very odd year, I felt. The Christmas decorations didn't get up quickly. I just think you're absolutely right. We should have tried harder.
We've got our fingers crossed for next year, and if you're not going to do a tree next year, at least come by and get a wreath, okay?
Absolutely.
We got a deal? Okay.
Commissioner Elman, I do.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Hi. Sorry to arrive late, everybody. And I don't know if this was touched on, but I just was wondering about the success of this year's tree lot sale. I noticed at the end there were a number of trees that were up for grabs, and I hadn't recalled seeing that before. So I'm hoping that this year was a success because we appreciate all that the Kiwanis does for the community. So I was curious.
Well, it was not a success. We made enough money to barely squeeze by, and we have enough money in the bank that we can cover, once again, what I mentioned earlier, the 55 charities and the 40 scholarships, that these people rely on us.
Right.
We had 144 trees left. In my 25 years of being a Kiwanian and being part of that lot, I never remember us having more than about maybe 15, and we usually sell out. And we bought the same amount this year, 2,100 trees, that we buy every year. So Thanksgiving is going to come late this year as well, so we're going to order a few hundred less trees and cross our fingers and hope we're buying trees wholesale from other lots because people want trees, want one.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, I'm sorry to hear that this year did not measure up to past years.
Well, you know, you're rolling the dice when you're doing stuff like this, and quite frankly, our profit margin is very little. We really work on about 18% profit margin, where if you were in business, if you had a brick and mortar, or even an online business, you'd say, no, I'm going to do something else. But because we're a charity, because a lot of our labor is free, et cetera, we keep doing it because it's the right thing to do. It's a tradition. It's part of our community.
Absolutely.
99 years we're celebrating in Hermosa this month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, congratulations on that, and thank you for all you do.
If you think we're not having a party next year for 100th, you are really wrong.
We will be there.
Great.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Be well.
I'm here. Sorry about that. And I hope my iPad battery lasts because I didn't charge properly. Okay. So my apologies again. It's been quite an interesting time. So we are on to item number 6, Community Resources Director's Report. Let's see.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Vice Chair Pizer Maines. We do have a presentation to go with the report. We can go ahead and advance to the next slide. We just wanted to provide a reminder on some field maintenance. Clark Field remains closed for reseeding through February 18th, and the Community Center East Lawn through March 6th. Next slide. And we are excited to share about our second partnership event with the city, between the city and Alcove Beach Cities, for an event for young adults ages 12 through 25 at the South Park Building coming March 13th from 4 to 6 p.m. We will have pizza, painting, and ping pong. And just a reminder, we did hold our first event in partnership with Alcove Beach Cities late last year, and it was a success with almost approximately, I think it was 60 in attendance for that event. So we're excited to continue this partnership and host quarterly events for that age group in 2025 and on. Next slide. We are also excited to announce that our Live Hermosa Recreation and Enrichment Programming brochure is going to be available, and registration will open March 3rd. And forgive my typo, I just noticed on that presentation, March 3rd of this year is when registration will open. So that includes all spring, summer, recreation classes, camps, excursions, and leagues. So it also includes Valley Park Summer Day Camp, which sells out quickly each year. So we definitely recommend everyone tuning in and to the recreation brochure. It's going to be available at hermosabeach.gov/recreation. And next slide. Just wanted to make note of requested future agenda items and a reminder that in April we will be bringing the contract class program review, and that's going to be a review of the current programming through the contract class program, a review of the recommendations for programming in the Parks Master Plan, and a review of how the brochure is advertised. So with the spring and summer brochure being published in March, we will use that to guide the conversation in April for this review. And then the other requested future agenda item that is pending, and a meeting is still to be determined when that will be back before the commission, is a discussion on park hours. We have completed 2 internal staff meetings regarding this to form staff's recommendation really on this matter. And we have 1 final meeting to be had before we can schedule this for a review by the commission. And that concludes my Community Resources Director report.
Thank you, Lisa. Any of my fellow commissioners have questions of Lisa or comments? Lisa, I just wanted to ask if we could get an update on the when the accessibility path on the Greenbelt will be, how we're doing with that, and when that will be, if we're doing any sort of a like ribbon cutting, or what the timing is on that.
Yes, I believe that our estimated completion date is going to be next week, and there would be plans to do some kind of ribbon cutting ceremony, and I will definitely keep the commission up to date once those plans are finalized. That does, also cause me to want to remind the commission we're also working on a green belt pedestrian trail renaming. There's a subcommittee consisting of 2 commissioners, Commissioner Ellman and Commissioner Horowitz, and 2 council members to discuss that. And that would result in a separate ceremony as well to celebrate that renaming. And we actually are having our second meeting on that matter tomorrow.
Great, fantastic. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Of course.
Okay.
Can I,
Yes.
Lisa, regarding the parks hours, have we included the discussion that you've had so far? Has it included the police chief or the police department?
It has included the police department and the public works department, along with community resources and the city manager's office.
And have we checked with other parks in the South Bay?
Yes, we have completed best practice research.
Great.
So all surrounding cities' park hours are being considered in that conversation.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you once more, Lisa. Now we're to item number 7, public comment. Kaylin, over to you.
This is the time for members of the public to address the commission on items on and not on the agenda, but within the commission's jurisdiction. Each speaker is limited to 2 minutes and will be taken in person only. A reminder that if you address the commission on a discussion item, you will not be able to address the commission on the same item when it is heard at a later time. Not seeing anyone in the chambers.
No. Yes, we will close public comment. Thank you. Okay, and I will note for anyone listening out in the universe that there is an opportunity for public comment as well during item number 11, matters for commission consideration, and that would be on the Clark Building. Okay, now to item number 8, commissioner comments. Does anyone have any comments to make? There aren't really any comments to make following public comment because there wasn't any, but any other comments at this time? Okay. Okay, moving on to the consent calendar. Does anyone want to pull an item for discussion? No? Okay. A motion, perhaps?
I'll make a motion to receive and file.
Okay, a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Halen?
Vice Chair Pizer-Mains? Commissioner Elman?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. I go to here, public, let's see, actually, public hearings. We have none tonight. Okay, we are at item number 11, matters for commission consideration. Ms. Nichols, I will send this over to you for presentation.
Thank you, Vice Chair Pizer-Mains. This item is staff and the Clark Building Renovation Subcommittee's recommendation to the Commission to recommend for City Council approval the new Clark Building use policies and reservation rates for the newly renovated building. Next slide. The city's capital improvement program includes CIP 689, Clark Building Renovations, a project that is underway with an anticipated completion date in April of this year, so just a couple months from now. Next slide. On this slide before you is a diagram of the newly renovated Clark Building. So we have the banquet hall, we have a meeting space, and of course our restrooms and the kitchen. Next slide. At its June 6, 2019 meeting, the Commission selected Commissioners Elman and Pizer-Mains to serve on the Clark Building Renovation Subcommittee to work with staff to form a new use policy and reservation fees for the newly renovated facility. The proposed use policy and reservation fees were formed with consideration of past and future uses of the facility and an evaluation of comparable city facilities, use policies, and fees. The city facilities considered are shown on attachment 4 in your staff report. Only facilities that are owned and fully operated by municipalities were considered when we were forming the new Clark Building use policy and fee schedule. We also included the rental information for the Hermosa Beach, Kiwanis, and Rotary clubs. While these are city-owned facilities, the current lease agreements for each organization allows the club to rent each facility for private events, provided that the rental revenue is purely used for building needs. So really us including the information for the Kiwanis and Rotary Club is really just for informational purposes because they are the larger rental halls here in the city. Next slide. I'm wondering if we should give a couple minutes so Commissioner Maroney doesn't miss the conversation and presentation. We can take a brief recess.
That is up to the
If the
discretion.
commission would like,
Yes.
just a suggestion.
Let's take a brief recess of, 2 minutes?
2?
2-3 minutes, and then we will be back shortly.
Did he go to the bathroom?
Okay, we are back. I'm going to kick this back over to Ms. Nichols. We are on item number 11.
Thank you, Vice Chair Pizer-Mains. We will bring back up the presentation. And let me make sure, okay, yes, you got the right slide. Thank you, Amari. So the proposed new Clark building policy includes general rules and regulations for use of the building, including staffing and potential security requirements depending on the type of use of the space, amplified sound, food and beverages services, and use of amenities, and procedures for schedule changes, cancellations, and payments, and the insurance requirements. The proposed new policy would allow reservation holders to request, and this does not exist in the current policy, up to 4 parking spaces at an additional cost to the reservation holder due to the limited parking within the adjacent parking lots. The ability to request the use of amplified sound for the purpose of giving instructions, lectures, and transmitting music, or perhaps for a DJ. And this would only be permitted or available for consideration of approval if it was to take place between the hours of 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And if it was approved for the reservation to have amplified sound, the Hermosa Beach Police Department would issue an amplified sound permit. And, hold on just a second here. It would also allow for the reservation holder to request to have alcoholic beverages as part of their reservation in the form of beer, wine, and champagne. And if approval is obtained, the reservation holder would have to get a ABC license. So it would really be they would have to hire an ABC licensed caterer who has a Type 58 caterer's permit or a Type 91 beer manufacturer caterer permit, and they would also have to get a daily ABC liquor license, or the reservation holder would have to be a existing nonprofit organization with a valid tax ID number that is approved by the ABC office for a daily permit. For reservations with alcohol, the city would certainly have the right to assign additional staff from the Community Resources Department or the Hermosa Beach Police Department, or request the reservation holder to provide security at a cost to the reservation holder. Next slide. In Table 1 and on this slide before you, you will see a side-by-side comparison of the current reservation rates, and that's the left column, and the proposed new reservation rates, and that is in the right column. Increases in the current reservation rates for at least the past 15 years have only been due to the Consumer Price Index rate increases that is calculated by the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics annually. So for example, most recently in 2024, the CPI increase was 2.8%. Staff has not recommended any additional increases for at least the past 15 years to bring the reservation rates to current market rates until this evening. The mandatory fees of the fees listed to reserve the Clark building would be the banquet hall reservation rate, the application fee, and the security deposit. The remainder of the proposed fees would be applicable depending on the request of the reservation holder and the nature of the use of the building. So the kitchen and meeting room reservation rates would be applicable if the reservation holder requested use of those spaces. The projector and screen rate would be applicable if they requested use of that equipment. And the setup and teardown rate would be applicable if the reservation holder requested setup of tables, chairs, and or the portable stage that will accompany the newly renovated space. The staff fees would be applied based on the nature of the event, and if the reservation holder is requesting use of the projector and screen or the audio system, only staff will be permitted to operate the projector, screen, and audio system. And of the fees of the fees proposed to the commission tonight, several are new and they are not in the current fee schedule. And that would start with first being the meeting room reservation rate, as this is a new amenity to the building. Previously, this space was storage. So this would be new, and that's why there's a new reservation rate accompanying this new space. And then second being the kitchen reservation rate, we did find it was common to charge for an additional amenity such as a kitchen in our best practice research, as not all uses of the facility are going to result in a need for the kitchen. Third, the projector and screen rental is also a new fee, as this is a new amenity, and this fee is really mirrored after the projector and screen rate in our second-story theater. So it's a similar size, and that is why we are upholding that same rate for the Clark facility. And then fourth would be the setup and tear down rate. It really accounts for the staff time to prepare and tear down for each reservation, and it's important that we recover all the direct costs associated with each reservation in the new facility. Next slide. So this slide shows a comparison of how the proposed reservation rates for our Clark building would compare to reservation rates of the most comparable facilities in other cities. We had studied in our best practice research, and that is the City of Torrance Toyota Meeting Hall, the Newport Community Room, and the Manhattan Beach Joslin Center. We found these facilities provided similar amenities, they're closest in size, and use a fee structure that's most common to what we use for our indoor facility reservations here in the city. And you'll see here the different rates for nonprofit organizations, residents, and non-resident or commercial reservations based on if they were renting each of these facilities for 4 hours and requesting use of the kitchen. So you can see in comparison how we fall in line to these most comparable facilities in these other cities. And we can come back to this slide for the discussion if we need to as well, because I know it's a lot of information that wasn't in your written staff report as we were still gathering some of this information and putting it together after the publishing of that report. Next slide. The Hermosa Beach Garden Club and Women's Club have historically really been amongst the top users of the Clark building for their monthly club meetings, board meetings, and their community events, which is the annual plant sale and the pancake breakfast. Both nonprofit organizations have also been provided with storage space in the Clark building for club-related materials in the past. Both the use of the facility and the storage space have not been of cost to either organization in previous years. To continue to permit each organization's ongoing use of the facility and to allow for staff and the organizations to have a discussion on the fees and its use of the facility ongoing, staff would negotiate an agreement with each organization so their use really wouldn't be interrupted of this space. As for storage, staff would provide a lockable storage cart for each organization. Each organization's regular board and/or club meetings resume in the month of September, so this would provide time to negotiate a use agreement with each organization. Next slide. So this does conclude my verbal report. Should the commission approve staff and the subcommittee's recommendation, it would go before the City Council at its February 28th meeting.
Great. Thank you. Okay, questions of staff? Commissioner Maroney.
Yeah, the comparables, Torrance, Newport, and Redondo, do we know when they set their prices? How old are their prices?
I don't have information as when they set their prices. Unfortunately, I have information on when the facilities were built and most recently renovated, but I did not get that information to share. But I can certainly make sure, too, we have that for the discussion at the council level, too.
I think we should, because
Yeah.
if they did theirs 15 years ago, right, and next year they do it and they're double ours, then we're going to look like we didn't know what we were doing. So if we can ask them when they did their prices. And then, I had something else on that. Oh, your attachment, the rate list, I don't know what, it's a Clark Building reservation rates. It's an attachment to the report.
Yes.
I understand what you're doing, I think, but if you look at the projector and screen, it's $121. but you've left the space under nonprofit and non-resident commercial blank. I presume that means it's the same rate.
Correct.
I would put the rates in.
Okay. Noted. Thank you for that recommendation.
And then the security deposit is due at time of application?
It is.
I didn't see that clearly under schedule changes, cancellations, and payment procedures, that this deposit is due upon application. On 3, paragraph 3, under schedule changes, cancellations, and payment procedures, it says all fees are due 2 weeks prior to the reservation date. I think I would insert remaining because the deposit is due early. So all remaining fees are due 2 weeks prior to the reservation rate. And the next paragraph, or the next section on insurance, I presume the insurance language is just general language that the city has, right? This is their policy on, right? I would, on the section that says if the use includes athletic activities, it says applicants shall provide evidence of that. The commercial general liability insurance of should be out of there. Should evidence of that. Just as a Scribner change. Under additional insurance requirements, the second paragraph, for events where alcohol is served but not sold to event attendees, applicant may submit liquor host liability coverage. Is that really a may, or is it shall maintain or shall submit? Is that an option? Is that a may or is that a shall?
I will follow up with our risk manager. He put together this language
All right.
for this policy particular, so thank you. I made note of that, and we'll make sure that we have a clear understanding of that section, and it's corrected if need be. All insurance certificates do have to be reviewed by our risk manager, and we share with them what the use of the building is so that they have an understanding of what the requirements should be.
All right, other than that, I would say the policy is well written, it's clear, kudos to staff and to the subcommittee. I will say that your slide here that shows where you got the comps is also real clear. My only hesitation is how current the comps are.
Thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate the presentation because it is really clear and easy to follow. So thank you for that. I had a couple questions. Are you not requiring a cleaning fee? I saw that it said that you're responsible for the cleaning, but what if?
In the instance, so we have language in the policy that in the instance additional staff time is spent cleaning the facility outside of that setup and tear down time, which is an hour before and after the rental, and we do have to hire additional cleaning outside of our regular janitorial services, that we can retain that from the security deposit.
Okay. I'm sorry if I missed that. It wasn't as clear to me that I saw the extra staff time to clean it, but then I thought not everybody does the best job.
What we can do is we can really duplicate that language when we're talking about the cleaning, so it's not missed in the other section when it is, where it is listed, because we want it to be as clear as possible to anyone renting the space what.
Is there an option for a group to just say, I'll just pay the cleaning fee and walk away?
They would have to ensure that that was part of their reservation
Okay.
time.
Okay. When you rent the banquet hall, do you then also have to rent separately the kitchen? They don't?
No, those are additional optional amenities, the kitchen and the meeting room.
But when you rent the banquet hall, it doesn't automatically include the kitchen?
It does not.
Okay, so that's where the extra fee comes in. Same with the meeting room. You don't automatically get access to the
Correct.
kitchen. Okay, and then lastly, it was about the alcohol. The way I understood it, you have to either have a caterer who has an alcohol license, or you have to be a nonprofit. You can't just be
That's
wanting to
correct.
throw a 50th birthday party and get your own ABC license, because you can do that as an individual.
We spoke to the ABC office and we explained really the past use of the building and the intended use of the building. And in order to reduce as much liability to the city, we were told that these are the permits that would be needed from our office for
Okay.
the reservation holder. So someone could not come in and just bring their own alcohol, like any individual would not be permitted to do so.
Okay.
Because they have to go through certain requirements to get these caterer licenses, essentially.
Okay, so it has more to do with insurance and liability than I'm no lawyer.
Right, so if you don't mind, so my understanding is that even with the caterer, there's a training requirement and you attest that the people for which you employ and hire are trained. And of course, I'm not super familiar with the ones that you can get individually, but of course, if citizen John Doe just showed up with his, ABC license, there's no guarantee that he or whoever is manning the alcohol booth is properly trained. So that's my understanding of it.
Okay, got it. We threw a party last year with our own ABC license. That's why I was asking, because we paid the money for that, and then we paid, $100 for extra insurance because of that. But I just wanted to clarify that those were the options available.
Yes, that's correct, and exactly what our city attorney shared is exactly what I was trying to say.
Okay.
It's more clear.
No, I get it. I think that's all for me for right now. Thanks.
So you will not be hosting your next birthday party, I guess.
I would get a caterer.
And we do encourage in the policy that reservation holders look into Hermosa Beach-based businesses for that service as well.
That led me to I was thinking about this earlier. Thank you for guiding it back. Let's say you contact a local restaurant, and do they count as a caterer?
Oh, go ahead. It's my understanding they should have the form of license that would allow the ABC office to issue their daily permit. So I know, for example, in like the Lawn Bowling Club, like Uncorked's been able to serve at their parties because they have this type of caterer's license that they would be able to get that daily permit.
Right. And so then my understanding is that while not every restaurant currently maintains one, it's not easy, but it's easier to get one if you already have a existing ABC license for your restaurant, if that makes sense.
Okay,
Yeah, because they can apply for the caterers and then apply for the daily.
got it. Thank you. Thank you.
A few questions, just want to double check. Sound level, we know what that number is. Is that going to be on the contract?
We don't have in our municipal code a level per se, but that's
Okay.
where we work closely on understanding what the amplified sound is and working with our police department to get the approval to even issue that amplified sound permit.
Okay. The cost of the sound permit?
It is, let me just, before I say it, confirm that I'm correct. It goes up slightly annually. I believe it's 207. Okay.
And we'll put that on the contract?
It is in the reservation rates. and
Okay.
I'll look into that on the website, but we have 207.
Okay.
So I'm just wondering if it wasn't updated from the previous master fee schedule, so we can correct that on our website, because I'm going off our master fee schedule that was recently updated.
And we don't allow hard alcohol. When we say alcohol, we're only
Correct.
talking beer, wine, and champagne.
Yes. And that's something we found to be very common in the best practice research and their use policies for their facilities.
And people coming in cannot bring their own equipment.
They cannot bring their own tables, chairs. We may consider them to bring in some form of sound equipment, but it would be a case-by-case basis. They may bring in their own projector and screen. So that type of equipment, the audio visual, they could, but not tables and chairs, because our staff needs to set those up and tear those down, and we wouldn't be doing that for a
If they
rented
bring in
company's
the-
equipment.
If they bring in their own audio visual, they can do that. We're not acquiring them to use our equipment.
Correct. But
Okay.
they cannot use our equipment. Our staff needs to use our equipment and
Yeah, okay.
operate our equipment.
And then from Tracy, sorry, just having a moment. Are we going to have a preferred vendors list? Is that something that we should do? Is that,
It's something that we have considered, but it is difficult to start with that at this point. I think as we work with different reservation holders and different caterers, and we can really build a vendor-approved
Okay.
list.
And my last question is, I'm a little surprised tonight that we don't have anybody from the Garden Club or the Women's Club. Were they notified?
They were notified. Staff has been attempting to provide notice of this agenda item and the plans to initiate a use agreement with each organization since, I have the dates, but it's not on my document before, but it's since late January, really. We were able to make contact with the Women's Club today and go through the report and the recommendation to form a use agreement with them, but we haven't made contact with the Garden Club yet.
Okay. Seems a little odd. I just want to be sure that they know we're trying and that change isn't necessarily the perfect thing, but it's necessary for this brand-new, beautiful building. And they have a great history with the city, and I'm hoping that we can come to agreement on the changes that are required to be made.
We certainly will be continuing to try to make contact with the Garden Club. We just had emailed the president's the information really that was on the website, and they don't have a phone number listed on their website, so our next step is to reach out to our contact that we're working on the Blue Star Highway marker with to see if they can give us some additional contact
Great.
information.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Elman asked a lot of the questions that I had on my mind, so thank you very much. I think that we will go to see if we have any public comment.
I'm not seeing any hands raised on Zoom at the
One
moment.
online?
Oh, I'm sorry. We do have 2 hands raised. This is the time for members of the public to address the commission on this item only. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. When called, please state your name for the record. Just a reminder, if you're joining the meeting by phone, please remember to dial *9 to unmute yourself and *6 to raise your hand. First, we have Laura Pena. Your 3 minutes will begin once you're unmuted.
Good evening, Commissioners. I looked at the report and the attachments, and I appreciate the effort that the city has put into getting this Clark building up and going for the community. I just have some feedback in regards to enhancing some clarity and flexibility and hopefully attract the community again. In regards to the hours of operation, I saw that they were from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. window, which appears to be reasonable. But in order to consider flexibility for like maybe special events or particularly on weekends, consider extending the hours so that the community could have celebrations and private events that may often run later. And this could also help increase the Clark Building's appeal. Because I know at the Kiwanis Building, they can stay open till I think 11. The Rotary daily is to 10:30 p.m. So it was just a suggestion. Also, the next thing on the staffing and security, it would be helpful to clarify the criteria when you need additional security. Maybe setting some clear thresholds, such as the event size, obviously the presence of alcohol or late hours, so that people can budget appropriately. And also, in regards to the cancellation policy, providing more flexibility would be really helpful. The current forfeiture of the security deposit for cancellations after the 15th of the month prior seems really strict. Maybe something like a tiered refund structure, offering partial refunds based on the notice. Also, if the security deposit, it looks like it's non-refundable at all. I would have assumed if there was any damaged or missed equipment that that's what the security deposit would go towards, but maybe I'm wrong. And then also in regards to the audio-visual fee, in the attachment, it says that it's $32 an hour, but then I'm reading in the presentation that it's $33 an hour. So I was just wondering which one it was. Also, I appreciate Commissioner Maroney's question in regards to when were these fees set by comparable cities, because the kitchen fees from the other cities are considerably less than the ones that we're listing. So having clarification on that would be really helpful. So thanks again.
Next, we have John Burry. Your 3 minutes will begin once you're unmuted.
Good evening, John Burry. Well, nobody can say we haven't had a lot of time to think about this answer. I'm not surprised to see a proposal like this, but I think it's disappointing. What it really means is that our little diamond in the rough that was a $40 an hour facility for residents might now cost residents up to $2,000 in the various fee structure to rent for an evening event. Let's remind ourselves, residents have been deprived of the full use of this facility for 7 years, and they've footed a bill which has risen from $135,000 to something north of $3 million. And now you stick it to them on a fee structure with the bolt-ons and the small print. These costs, plus this effective 9 p.m. curfew, I think will limit the use to a very specific type of organisation. And that's a shame, because I think wedding receptions and graduation parties will probably go elsewhere, but, you know, hey, for the gardening club. I think you'd have been better to price this lower while you find out more about what the true market demand is. I think this needs to be a vibrant and very widely used asset by this community, and not limited to non-profit board meetings and pancake breakfasts and local clubs. I think I'd have also expected to see a bit more creativity around discounts for, say, events that were catered by local Hermosa Beach businesses. So I'm disappointed, but if you want to find a few other ways to, you know, bill the residents, maybe you could charge for flip chart rental or corkage or bathroom usage, you know. That's a long list of fees and add-ons that you've managed to develop. Thank you.
There's no other hands raised at this time.
Okay, thank you. Oops, we'll take it back to the commission for discussion.
Lisa, Laura's comment about going to 11 p.m., I presume that's because we're right up against that residential building?
That, yes, and that it's mirroring what all our other facilities hours are. You know, the community center's hours are 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. That's when we have staff on hand. And the tennis courts are those hours, and the Clark Field and the basketball courts and the pickleball courts, they have adjusted hours, but this is most common to our indoor facilities hours.
All right, and just to clarify, in my mind, because when Laura asked about it, I thought, you know, that's right. Is the security deposit and the application fee the same?
No, the application fee is non-refundable. The security deposit is refundable if the cancellation is provided prior to the 15th. I'm sorry, the 15th month. The 15th of the month prior to the reservation, and that is because at that time, it's limiting our availability to fill that space. Staff has been scheduled likely for that reservation because our schedule is finalized by the 15th of the month prior each month.
So if someone doesn't give you cancellation by the 15th of the month prior, they're going to lose $500 plus,
Yeah, they would forfeit.
plus the application fee.
That's, yes, that mirrors the policy of our community theater as well, which was formed due to really those reasons. We weren't able to fill those spots in a month's time at times, and staff loss of hours.
Okay. And other than that, my comment, the only thing I'm totally inclined to approve this as is. I think we had some really valuable insight during public comment. But I would ask that we know for sure as part of any motion, what the date of the comps were, and that council is told that, so we know what we're doing is, current. That's my only comment on this.
Yeah. Okay.
A couple questions piggybacking on the cancellation policy. So for example, let's say your event is April 1st. If you cancel by March 15th, you get a full refund of your security deposit. So you're only talking about 2 weeks.
Correct.
Is there any room for a postponement?
Certainly, you're not charged any differently if you postpone it. We would keep the security deposit on hand and reschedule it to the new date.
So if something happened a few days before your event and you needed to postpone it for whatever reason, then you just work with staff to find a new date, and then your security deposit then becomes refundable again the 15th of the month prior to your event.
Correct. We would work to reschedule in that case, because usually it is a more unforeseeable circumstance that close to the reservation, and yeah, it would stay on file till the new date.
Okay. And then I forgot to ask about valet parking options. If someone wanted to hire a service to provide valet parking for their guests, and they worked out where those cars were going to go, would that be feasible to do?
We wouldn't be able to allocate more than 4 reserved parking spaces, really, period, just because of the limited parking in the city. So if they were able to, access a private lot for that, certainly they would be able to do so.
Okay. And then the only other thing I could add is, I believe the Neptunian Club in Manhattan Beach, they have a 10 p.m. stop time because of their proximity to residents. So if that's another comparable, I don't know what they charge to rent, but I think their stop time is 10 p.m.
So regarding the hours, these are the hours that we've always had, am I correct? We haven't shortened the hours?
That's correct.
Okay, so we haven't taken it to the people yet. Regarding the $44 that we've been paying in the past, how long has that rate been like that?
I can confirm for at least 15
So
years.
for 15 years, we haven't raised the rate on anyone, the nonprofits, anyone that's come to use this facility.
The only fee increases have been due to the CPI increases,
Okay.
which are,
So we could look at it that we've been saving these groups all this money for all these years, and now because of the fact that we needed to fix this place up to make it safe, we are forced to increase the price to try and run a business. This is one of the few places the city can actually make some money, and we're going to charge about $60 more an hour. So I don't think we're sticking it to the people. But I would like to be sure that we're working closely with our 2 basic nonprofit, our 2 nonprofits. They will have storage in that they'll have a storage cart, which is about 6 feet by 3 feet, I think. It'll be locked and it will be theirs. They can keep anything in it as long as it's not, I know we'll be discussing the rules, as long as it's not food.
correct.
Their coffee and their cups and all that.
Yeah, the necessities for their meeting
For their
that aren't
meetings.
as easy to transport.
And that's
For each
only
space.
the 2 nonprofits. There's no one else that we're going to be working with that will get that special service.
Yeah, we will not be offering any other reservation holders storage space.
Okay. I don't think I have any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just wanted to reemphasize Commissioner Ellman's points in terms of our rates. We really did not raise our rates for a long, long time. And in our subcommittee and with our conversations with the staff, we had a number of conversations trying to figure out where that right spot should land, because we do want the building to be used is going to be beautiful. There aren't many assets like this in the area, and it's going to be a beautiful historic space once it's done. And, we welcome use, and we hope it is busy. And for residents, for a special event for 4 hours, it's a $600 fee. And these days, unfortunately, if you try to find any sort of a facility, or if you're looking for a wedding reception spot, which it is perfect for, and we had that in mind when we were re-envisioning the space, is going to be perfect for that. And it's going to be a huge savings if anybody wanted to compare this to any sort of a hotel or any place else. And we do want to be able to, we're not trying to make gobs of money off of this, but we want it to, we want it to be an income-producing space for the city. It's an asset that we have. We don't have that many buildings that are assets like this. And we want to be able to maintain it properly. So, so the guidelines that we have and everything else, there's always some fine tuning that can take place, but I think as a whole, it was thoughtfully put together, and I do think that Commissioner Maroney had some great points that he made and our other commissioners as well. So if those could be shared with the council when they're deliberating, I think that would be really helpful for us and give us some peace of mind if we, depending on how the vote goes here tonight. So thank you for that. And any other debate, or is somebody ready to make a motion?
Sure, I'll try to make a motion here. I would move that we approve the, proposed Clark Building, use and procedure? Use policy and reservation rates. And as part of the motion, I would ask that staff look into the date when the comparables in the other cities were set and inform council as to how current those comparables are. And also, as part of the motion, I would ask staff to take into account the various clarifications and suggestions we have made here and move forward with them or not as you deem fit.
Second.
Kaylin?
Commissioner Elman,
Yes.
motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. Okay, that is very exciting, because I did not want us to have to delay this any further, because then we're up against what we're looking forward to in April is our grand opening date when this will be done. So thank you very much, and we'll move on to item number 12, future agenda items. Does anyone have a future agenda item to propose? Okay, moving on to that. Let's see, any other public comment?
None at this time.
Okay. So, well, we are at adjournment. And before we head out of here, I got here a little bit late, but I wanted to say something about the trauma that we've been going through as a region. And I just kind of wrote something up. And apologies again, that's why I was late, because we have been working on various items. So what I wanted to do is acknowledge where we are now since our last meeting, which was 1 month ago. Our prior meeting took place on the evening of January 7th, where the Palisades fire ignited earlier in the day around 10:30 in the morning. Just prior to our meeting, at 7 p.m. that evening, the Easton fire started to rage in the Altadena area. The Palisades fire destroyed over 23,000 acres. has been comparable to the size of Manhattan and destroyed almost 7,000 structures. The Eden Fire covered over 14,000 acres and destroyed over 9,000 plus structures. Many more structures aren't listed as destroyed, destroyed, but they were very damaged from both fires. And tragically, most important of all, lives were lost, and the death toll is currently at 29 lives lost. This has been a catastrophic event impacting our entire region, with everyone feeling the trauma in different ways. We all know someone, whether it is family, friends, co-workers, our workers at businesses, owners of small businesses who have faced tremendous loss by somebody close to them. But this is what I wanted to say, is out of this tragedy, we have seen a community, our LA County community, come together. We are LA strong. We have a huge and generous heart, and we are helping each other. I toured the fire zone this past Saturday in person, and it is even more staggering to see when you're walking through blocks and blocks of streets where homes once stood. This is going to be a long journey, and I don't want us to forget the people that have a long journey ahead of them. I am proud of the outpouring of support from our little city. We are all making a difference, and I want everybody to know that it all really matters. What I was hoping that we could do in closing our meeting is to just do a moment of silence for the community members that lost their lives and send love towards their families. If that's okay with everybody. Thank you. Okay, thank you, everyone, and we will adjourn tonight's meeting to our next scheduled meeting, which is on Tuesday, March 4th at 7 p.m. Good night.